Hello, hey, hi guys, welcome back to another video. It's Lightning on here, where today I'm with my brother and we are going to be listening to a creepypasta. How do you feel, Ryan? How do you feel? You can't whisper, they can't hear you.
I feel amazing.
Yeah, well done. So, it's called D is for Daniel. His channel, Ryan's channel is, tell him.
Mr. Ryan Jones.
Mr. Ryan Jones.
Yes.
That's it.
You can, write it in writing or something.
So he has 28 subscribers, which is more than me. I have 22 subscribers.
Yes.
How do you feel being more famous than me?
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm more famous than someone too.
Someone with no subscribers?
No, my mum.
How many subscribers do you have?
0.
0. Probably does she even have a YouTube channel?
No. Actually, we share the same account, so technically we both have the same amount of subscribers.
Oh. I see.
Okay. Well, I'm more famous than this lamp that I use for my lighting most of my videos. Anyway, let's get right into this. 6 minutes and 40 seconds long. Creepypasta Junior. Ooh, so scary.
When he was 16, my brother was diagnosed with a rare disorder called alien hand syndrome. It occurred after he experienced a massive stroke that nearly killed him. After rehab and therapy, he was able to overcome nearly all negative effects caused by the stroke. He was able to walk and move normally and speak with almost no noticeable speech impediments. Unfortunately, the single most detrimental side effect of the stroke was not cured: his alien left hand.
What do you mean
With alien hand syndrome, the affected individual essentially has little or no control of their hand. His hand would act of its own accord, grabbing things, hitting things, and knocking things over without any regard to what Michael wanted it to do. He would often have to restrain his left hand with his right hand in order to get it to stop acting out in places like the grocery store. Over the next several years, his condition became worse. He went to therapy to try to get his hand under control, but no matter what he or any doctor tried to do, his left hand would act out. It became violent, almost spiteful even. Instead of knocking things over, it started throwing things. It would hit people if they got too close, and even hit Michael from time to time if he tried to stop it from doing whatever it wanted. When he was 26, Michael told me something that had scared him for the previous year. He said that he didn't want to tell anyone because he was afraid of people thinking he was even crazier than he knew they already thought. He said that his therapist had done an exercise with the hand that yielded bizarre results. He said his therapist put a pencil in his right hand and told him to write his name. Michael did so. The therapist then handed his left hand a pencil and slid that same piece of paper over to him. He once again told Michael to write his name. Michael watched in horror as his hand began to form letters which were not Michael. When the hand was done, it put the pencil down and slid the paper over to the therapist. Below Michael's name were neatly crafted letters, which read, Daniel. The therapist wanted to ask Michael's hand questions, but Michael refused. Watching the hand write a different name really freaked him out. He said he'd always wondered if maybe that hand wasn't his at all, or at least not under his control, conscious or subconscious, and that answer solidified his fear. He said he genuinely believed that the hand wasn't his at all. All while he told me this story, his hand struggled against the white-knuckled grip of the other. It clawed at his palm and pulled against his right hand. And seeing that happen, while he told me the story of Daniel, made me begin to believe that perhaps he wasn't as crazy as he thought. Maybe he was actually onto something. That night, on his way home from my apartment, Michael was in a car accident. He hit a cement barrier going 80 miles an hour. To everyone there, it seemed like an attempt at suicide. He survived, but had to be helicoptered to the University of Utah hospital for treatment. He was in surgery for 18 hours, and came out with only one hand. Michael woke up 3 days later to a room full of friends and family. I sat down on his bed, having discussed with my family and decided that it would be best coming from me, and I broke the news to him. He lifted his right hand and held it up to the light and began to cry. A broad grin crossed his face, and I knew what he was thinking. He was free. That was the last time I would ever see my brother smile. The next day, when I came to visit him, he told me his hand wasn't gone. He could still feel it. It itched and ached, and he could feel things when it touched them. His doctor told him it wasn't too uncommon for amputee patients to experience this. It was called phantom hand syndrome, or phantom limb syndrome. He told me then something that I would never utter again until nearly a year after Michael's death. He told me he didn't try to kill himself. Daniel did. He didn't drive into the barrier. Daniel hit him in the face and grabbed the wheel. 3 days later, Michael was found dead in his hospital bed. Originally, it was assumed to be a suicide, but the coroner discovered a pattern of bruises on his neck that formed the shape of a left hand. A murder investigation was launched, but nobody was ever arrested. The only clue they had to go on other than the palm print on Michael's neck was a piece of notepad paper from the hospital nightstand with 3 words on it. Daniel is free. I've never publicly shared this story before, but today marks the 3rd anniversary of Michael's death, and I think he would have wanted the world to know.
Out of 10, how scary did you find that?
Yeah. It's getting less scary by the day.
They're not getting that scary. Still not scared. Ooh, we have another one. That's gonna be in the next video because we ran out of time, guys. See you guys in the next episode.